I found your little savings. That was the line. My daughter-in-law stood there with a stack of papers in her hand, waving them like she'd just pulled a rabbit out of a hat. She tilted her head, smiling. This is enough for a house down payment. The room went quiet for half a second. Then a few laughs, light ones. The polite kind. Someone even clapped. Once. I remember the sound because it landed wrong, like a dropped fork. I didn't laugh. I didn't correct her. I stared at the top sheet. The color, the layout, the seal in the corner. I swear my mouth tasted like pennies. Those weren't bank statements. They weren't anything personal. They were formatted in a way you don't forget once you've spent decades looking at them. Across the table, my son Evan blinked like he was still on airplane time. He'd landed that afternoon, dragged his suitcase inside, hugged me with one arm. He was watching faces now, mine, his wife's, his grandparents', trying to figure out what kind of moment this was supposed to be. I watched who smiled. That part matters. My daughter-in-law kept talking, filling the space, talking about timing, about how hard it is to get ahead, about finally feeling grown. She shook the papers again. Too casual, like they were receipts from a grocery run. I stayed seated, hands flat on my thighs. My knee was bouncing, and I didn't even try to stop it. The air smelled faintly like burnt onions from the kitchen. That's the detail my brain grabbed. Not the betrayal, not the math, just burnt onions. I could have stopped it there. I could have reached out, taken the papers, explained. Honestly, that's probably what a smarter version of me would have done. But I froze. Old habit. Watch first. Understand the room before you move. Evan glanced at me again, longer this time. I gave him nothing. I didn't trust my face. For a second. I wondered if I'd somehow lost my mind. If I'd misplaced something. If this was my fault in a way I hadn't caught up to yet. You ever do that? Assume you messed up before checking the facts. I pushed my chair back just enough to breathe, not enough to leave. My name is Lilian, and while everyone else was celebrating a future house, I was doing a faster calculation. How long it would take for a missing set of protected documents to turn into questions, then consequences, then doors that don't open anymore. I didn't say a word. I just kept looking at those papers. Already knowing Chapter 2 was going to hurt worse, I stood up slowly. Not dramatic, just enough to shift the air. Those aren't mine. I told the table. My daughter-in-law laughed like I'd made a joke back. They're in your house. Lilian, that doesn't make them mine. Evan's fork paused halfway to his mouth. He looked between us. Mom, I kept my eyes on the papers. I work as a custody and compliance contractor. Federal adjacent. Boring title. Heavy rules. I tapped the table once, hard enough to feel it in my wrist. What's in my safe isn't personal savings. It's protected government securities, temporarily stored, documented windows only. Her smile thinned. You're being dramatic. I shook my head. I'm being accurate. My sister-in-law leaned forward. So you help move money around. Big deal. It's not money, I cut in. It's instruments. Logged by serial number. Every single one. Audited, tracked. If one disappears, the system doesn't assume theft first. It assumes I messed up. Or helped. That landed. Not fully. But enough. Evan put his fork down. Wait. You mean if those go missing, I lose my contract? I told him. At minimum. Worst case. I'm explaining myself to people who don't care that it was family. My daughter-in-law crossed her arms. Nobody's talking about missing. We just needed a head start. They're safe. They were safe in the safe, I replied, which only contains sensitive items. Nothing else. No cash. No jewelry. Just what can't be anywhere else. She rolled her eyes. You're acting like we cleaned you out. I didn't respond right away. I watched Evan instead. His jaw tightened. That was new. I didn't give you access. I went on. I didn't authorize a transfer. There's no paperwork for what you did, which means, on paper, it looks like negligence or collusion. The word sat there, ugly and heavy. Evan finally spoke. You went into her office. She hesitated. A beat too long. I found what I needed. I felt something cold settle behind my ribs. Not panic, clarity. The kind that arrives late but stays. If an audit hits, I said quietly, they won't come asking who needed a house. They'll come asking why my name is on a chain that broke. Nobody clapped this time. Evan pushed his chair back. Slow like me earlier. When did you take them? That was the moment the dinner stopped being a celebration and started turning into something else entirely. Evan told me later how it started. He came home a day early. Didn't text. Didn't want to wake anyone. Just dragged his suitcase inside and closed the door quietly. He heard her voice before he saw her. She was in the bedroom, phone to her ear, pacing, not whispering, not careful. I already grabbed it. She told whoever was listening. A pause, then a short laugh. Yeah, it's enough for the down payment. Evan stopped in the hallway, stood there with his hand still on the suitcase handle. He said the wheels clicked once when he shifted his weight. She didn't hear it. She won't even notice. His wife added, it was just sitting there. He didn't walk in, didn't interrupt. He leaned against the wall and listened like his body had decided for him. Another pause. Her tone changed, proud, almost relieved. I did it clean. No mess, no drama. Evan told me that part stuck. Not the money, not the house, the word clean. When she hung up, he stepped back into the shadows and waited until he heard the bathroom door close. Only then did he move again. He didn't confront her that night. He showered, ate something standing up, lay in bed staring at the ceiling while she slept beside him, breathing slow and even. He kept replaying her voice. How easy it sounded. Like she'd crossed something off a list. By morning, he wasn't angry yet, just alert. Like something in him had shifted from trust to inventory. He needed one more piece before he spoke. Something solid. Something that would tell him whether he was overhearing a mistake or walking into a decision already made. Evan waited until morning. He told me he tried to act normal. Coffee. A comment about jet lag. Nothing sharp. Then, easy as he could manage. He asked, where did the papers come from? She didn't look up from her phone. Your mom's. Just like that. He tried again. From where exactly? She shrugged. One shoulder, barely a movement. From her place, she won't miss it. That was the moment he felt it shift. Not fear, not panic, something flatter. That's not an answer. He told her. It is. She replied. It's family money. It's been sitting there forever. You know how she is. He pressed. Slower now. You went into her office. She smiled. The small one she uses when she thinks someone's being dramatic. Relax. I didn't break anything. Did you open the safe? A pause. Short. Calculated. I knew where the papers were kept. She offered. That drawer behind the desk. The one she never locks. Evan felt his stomach drop. He hadn't mentioned a drawer. You knew about that? He asked. She waved him off. Everyone knows. She's predictable. That word landed harder than she meant it to. Predictable. Like a habit. Like a weakness. Did she give you permission? Evan pushed. She didn't need to. She answered. It's not like I emptied it. We just took what we needed. He stared at her. At how calm she was. How certain. She finally looked up. Eyes sharp now. Don't turn this into something ugly. We're trying to build a life. Evan didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten. He just stood there, realizing this wasn't a misunderstanding to clean up. It was a plan already in motion. By the time he left the room, he knew the truth wouldn't come from her. It would come from my safe. Chapter 5. The code didn't leak. It was assembled. I didn't need the cameras to figure it out. I already knew. I'd been sitting there, hands folded, listening to Evan breathe like he was counting. Finally, he leaned closer to me and kept his voice low. Mom, be straight with me. What's actually at risk here? I hesitated. Not because I wanted to protect anyone, because saying it out loud makes it real. Federal level trouble, I told him. The kind that doesn't care about apologies. His face tightened, just once. Then he nodded. Slow. That's when the rest clicked into place for me. Not all at once. Piece by piece. Like it must have for her, months earlier, I'd put together a folder for emergencies. Not for her, for my sister-in-law, hospital scenarios, what to do if something happened to me. Phone trees, partial reminders, never full codes. Just breadcrumbs I assumed only I could follow. Stupid assumption. I'd written things like safe behind the print and numbers repeat and mechanical backup still active. Enough to jog my own memory. Enough for someone patient to sit with it and fill the gaps. Evan swallowed. So she didn't guess. No, I said. She assembled it. Across the table, my daughter-in-law was still scrolling, pretending this was all beneath her. No lockpicks, no broken doors, just time, access, familiarity, family. I didn't make it easy. I went on, but I made it possible. That part was on me. I won't dress it up. Evan looked at his wife. Really looked. You planned this. She finally glanced up. I prepared. There's a difference. No, he replied. There isn't. I felt something settle in my chest then. Heavy, clear. The safe hadn't failed. The system hadn't failed. I had trusted the wrong perimeter. Evan leaned back toward me. If this goes forward, he murmured, what happens to you? I met his eyes. I lose the benefit of doubt. After that, I lose everything else. He nodded again. This time there was no confusion left in him. Just a line drawn where there hadn't been one before. Chapter 6. Applause that turns to ice. She stood again, papers lifted. Performing for the room, the stack bent a little in her grip. She didn't notice. She was busy smiling. Timing worked out. She went on, voice bright. We're finally doing something smart. My brother-in-law nodded. My sister-in-law murmured approval. Someone tapped a glass like this was a toast waiting to happen. Evan watched her hands. Then he leaned forward. Quick thing. He cut in, calm enough to sound curious. Which transfer window were these pulled from? She blinked. What? The window. He repeated. Morning or afternoon? They're logged differently. A ripple moved through the table. I felt it in my wrists. Evan didn't look at me. He kept his eyes on her. She laughed. You're overthinking it. Maybe, he replied. Then the serials should settle it. They're grouped, did you grab the set with repeating tails or the mixed run? Her smile stalled. She glanced down at the papers like they might answer for her. I don't know what you mean. She tried. That's odd, Evan pressed. Still even. Because anyone who touched them would have noticed the pattern. It's obvious. She shifted. They were just in a folder, in a safe. I added, quiet. Behind the print, left side, the room froze. Someone cleared their throat. The clink of silverware sounded too loud. Evan kept going. And the custody chain, did you document removal, or were you planning to put them back before the next audit? Her jaw tightened. Why are you interrogating me because you're celebrating something you don't understand? He replied. And because my mother is the one who pays for that misunderstanding. My sister-in-law frowned. Evan, this is family. He nodded. Exactly. The daughter-in-law looked at me then, not smiling anymore. You're making this ugly. I didn't start it. I answered. I'm trying to stop it. She scoffed. We didn't take everything. That's the problem, Evan said. You took the only things that matter. Silence spread. No clapping. No smiles. The papers sagged in her hands now, heavy as they should have been from the start. Evan turned to me. You're not alone. He told me, low and steady. I believed him, and I knew the room had already chosen sides, even if no one wanted to say it out loud yet. Chapter 7. Put them back. Now. Evan stood between us, hands open like he was trying to hold the air steady. Just give them back, he told her. Quiet. Careful. Right now, we keep this inside the family. No calls. No paperwork. She looked at him like he'd disappointed her. You're panicking. I'm trying to protect everyone, he replied, especially my mom. She turned to me. You raised him anxious. That landed harder than the money ever could. We're on a timeline, she continued. The seller wants proof. The deposit window closes this week. We can't stall. Evan swallowed. I saw it. That moment where he wanted to believe her, wanted this to be fixable with a return envelope and a quiet apology. We can figure something else out. He pressed. I'll help. We'll borrow. We'll wait. She shook her head. You always do this. You slow everything down. I stepped closer to the table. Those documents leave my house tonight. She laughed. Sharp. You're acting like I robbed a bank. You broke into a safe. I told her. You took instruments that don't belong to me. You put my name on a risk ledger you don't understand. She crossed her arms. Nobody got hurt. Not yet. Evan cut in. His voice changed there, firmer, and that's the point. She leaned toward him. If you force this, you ruin us. He closed his eyes for a beat. When he opened them, whatever hope he'd been holding was gone. Put them back, he told her, louder now. Now. She stared at him, waiting for the backtrack. It didn't come. I'm not doing this. She snapped. You want to side with her, fine, but don't pretend you're noble. Evan turned to me. Mom, he murmured, do what you have to do. The room felt smaller, like the walls had leaned in to hear it. I nodded. That was all. No speeches. No relief. Just the weight of permission. She gathered the papers, clutching them to her chest. You'll regret this. Evan didn't move. Didn't follow. He stood there, choosing a line he couldn't uncross. And I realized something in that silence. Peace that depends on my freedom isn't peace at all. Chapter 8. The call I was trained to make. I took my phone out and didn't look around first. I didn't ask permission. Muscle memory did the work. Evan pulled a chair closer and sat. Close enough to hear everything. I dialed the internal security and compliance escalation line. Not 911. Not drama. Procedure. This is Lilian. I told the voice that picked up, custody contractor, Arlington. I'm reporting unauthorized access. There was a pause. Not the confused kind. The listening kind. My home office safe was compromised. I continued. Protected government securities removed without authorization. The documents are currently in plain view at a family dinner. I can provide serial numbers and a timeline. Evan's knee bumped mine under the table. He didn't interrupt. Access method, the voice asked. Codes assembled from partial hints. I replied, no forced entry, family access. Another pause. Typing this time, I could hear it. That small, fast tapping that means a box just got checked somewhere official. Are the instruments intact as far as I can tell? I answered, I haven't touched them. Good. Don't. I gave the address. The transfer window. The last verified custody log. All the things I'd been trained to say in drills that never involved my own blood. We're escalating, the voice told me. Stand by. Secure the documents if possible. Don't confront the individual alone. I'm not alone, I said, glancing at Evan. He nodded once. Jaw set. The call ended clean. No comfort. No judgment. Just steps. I set the phone down. My hand was steady. That surprised me. Across the room. My daughter-in-law watched us. Eyes darting now. Calculating. Evan leaned in. Low. That was fast. Internal always is, I told him. Once you use the right words, I breathed out through my nose. Not relief, not yet. Just the knowledge that whatever happened next wouldn't be handled by pretending this was a family misunderstanding. I had crossed the line I was trained to cross. Chapter 9, 20 minutes. Time changed shape after the call. Not slow, tight. Phones started buzzing. First hers, then my sister-in-law's, then my brother-in-law's. Short vibrations. Over and over, like the table itself was nervous. My daughter-in-law tried to smile again. It came out crooked. We can talk about this, she offered. Just us. Evan stood up and moved one step toward the door. He didn't touch the handle. He didn't block it with his arms. He just stood there. A quiet line drawn in the room. We're already talking, he replied. Just not the way you want. She shifted her weight. You're overreacting. No, he answered. You're underestimating. Someone asked if this could be handled later. Someone else suggested calling a lawyer friend. Voices stacked on top of each other, trying to build a ladder out of the moment. I stayed seated, hands folded, listening for the sound that mattered. Her confidence drained minute by minute. She stopped checking her phone and started watching the front of the house instead. Counting, maybe. Rewriting stories in her head. She leaned toward Evan. If they come here, it's on you. He didn't look at her. It was on you the second you opened the safe. At some point, someone asked me if I was sure. I nodded once. That was all I had left to give. I remember wondering, briefly, if I'd be able to recognize the sound of official footsteps from inside my own living room. That thought surprised me with how calm it felt. Then the buzzing stopped. All of it. Silence pressed in. Not peace, not relief. Just the kind of quiet that shows up right before a door gets knocked on by people who don't care about family titles. They didn't rush in. No shouting, no drama. 2 people stepped inside. Calm voices. Credentials out. Already knowing my name. One of them nodded toward the table. We'll need the documents. My daughter-in-law tried to speak. It came out tangled. Timelines. Intentions. Words like temporary and family. The questions were simple. Where did you get them? When? How? Each answer made the next one worse. Evan stayed beside me. He didn't argue. He didn't apologize for anyone. He just stayed. The documents were sealed, logged, and taken. Statements followed. Mine was short, factual, boring in the way truth usually is. Later, my phone rang. My contract was intact. Because I reported promptly. Because I followed procedure. That was it. No praise, just confirmation that I'd done my job. Evan didn't go home with his wife that night. He didn't announce anything either. Some things don't break loudly. They crack and keep cracking. My family hasn't forgiven me cleanly. They talk around it. They always will. Before you click away, do me a favor. If this story hit close, tap like, leave a comment, or subscribe. These stories travel because people recognize themselves in them. Here's the part I've been sitting with. Responsibility isn't about being liked. It's about being able to sleep without rehearsing lies. Boundaries don't make you cruel. They tell the truth about what you're willing to lose. I locked the safe again that night. Same code. Same rules. What changed wasn't the lock. It was my understanding of who gets access to me.